Coming up on Channel 8 News, we'll take a look at how the City of Manhattan is working with residents to fix their home repairs, plus how several organizations in the community are helping with food insecurity. And later, we'll look into how one K-State baseball newcomer has stepped into the role as a team leader. But first, we'll take a look at our forecast for today.
Hi, Lena. Today's high in Manhattan is in the 60s. The wind has slowed down in consideration against the past few days, and our humidity is in the 20% today.
This is KKSU-LD, covering Manhattan, Riley County, and the Flint Hills, broadcasting in high definition from Kansas State University. You're watching Channel 8 News.
Good morning and welcome back to Channel 8 News. I'm Lena Sadarin. Coming up, we'll take a look at how one current K-State student is using her passion to support her mom's recent diagnosis. Plus, we'll be joined live in the studio by the Assistant City Manager prior to the grand opening of the Aggieville parking garage tomorrow. But first, the City of Manhattan is offering free housing repairs to homeowners to try to get structures up to code. Channel 8 reporter Landon Reinhart has more.
Sometimes it seems like it's too good to be true, $25,000 to fix up your house, but that's really what it boils down to, as long as you meet the qualifications.
The City of Manhattan is offering up to $25,000 worth of free home repairs to homeowners that fall under the income guidelines. $43,000 for one person, $49,000 for two, and so on.
We try to address the health and safety of those low to moderate income homeowners so that homes are in compliance with code and that they can safely live in the homes.
The city will look at AC, plumbing, and electrical issues, but they'll also take a look at accessibility, so you can actually get inside of your house.
Water heaters, furnaces, air conditioners, floors and walls, we'll do floor repairs. We address lead paint, just a wide variety.
Repairs help more than those receiving the service. Keeping older homes in order is a lot cheaper than building new ones.
The purpose is to sustain the supply of affordable housing in the community, which Manhattan has some of the highest housing costs in the state.
More money, more homes, better looking Manhattan.
Yeah, I just think from the perspective of the city, this is a really important program because it's a way for us to invest in the existing housing stock. I mean, obviously there's a lot of new housing construction going on in Manhattan, but you really can't even keep up with the demand, which is high.
As a year-round program, there's no deadline for application.
The worst thing is apply and not get accepted. That's the worst thing that could happen.
In Manhattan, Landon Reinhart, Channel 8 News.
Applications for the free repairs can be found at the city's website, www.cityofmhk.com/housingrehab. The Flint Hills Discovery Center first opened to the public in March of 2012. Starting today and through the weekend, the center will be celebrating its first decade of operation with discounted tickets, membership, speeches, and giveaways.
It's been amazing to watch the 10-year succession of the Discovery Center. We started off with a plan, but it's been fun to see it grow and develop, and a lot of it came from partnerships and community involvement, making programs to meet what the expectations are, and really focusing on our mission to try to get people out to experience the Flint Hills.
Both the Manhattan and K-State community were invited to the Dance for a Cure event last Saturday to increase funds and awareness for the ALS Foundation. Ann Stegman, a freshman dance major at K-State, used her love for dance to support her mother's recent diagnosis.
My mom was diagnosed with ALS at the beginning of February, so it was a pretty devastating diagnosis, but I knew that, I wanted to bring awareness to this disease because I didn't really know anything about it until my mom was diagnosed, and I knew a lot of other people hadn't really heard of it other than the Ice Bucket Challenge and that sort of thing. So I thought that this would be a great way to kind of create community, to build this event, to kind of get people together and raise awareness.
This was a donation-based event where participants could come and spend a couple hours letting loose on the dance floor for a good cause.
Today, we're going to have a group warm-up, and then we're going to have 3 different stations featuring modern dance, musical theater, jazz, and then hip-hop. And it's meant for all people, which is really important to me. No dance experience is necessary. People who have danced before, people who've never danced in their life, older people, younger people. I wanted to get a whole group of people to come together and make this event possible.
Stegman received support from the K-State Dance Program time to help put on this event and had other students volunteer to help teach the classes.
This event just means so much to me. I'm so fortunate for the K-State support their community, and it's just a fun way to promote ALS awareness. I don't want to cry, but this is just awesome.
Stegman says that having this become an annual event is the goal.
I think that's the goal in the long run, right? To keep this going and to keep ALS present in people's minds. And if we can do that through this event for years to come, then I think that'll be perfect.
In Manhattan, Lena Satterin, Channel 8 News. Visit the website below for more information on how to support the ALS community in Kansas. Time for our first break. But when we come back, we will take a look at how members of the community are pitching in to help with food insecurity. Plus, we'll sit down with the Assistant City Manager as the nearly $17 million parking garage in Aggieville is set to open tomorrow. That's next.
It's like a purple front has kind of moved into the stadium. Beautiful day and music's loud. The fans are on their feet.
Wilnet crushes it to left. And K-State leads 8-1. The 1-2 is swing and a miss. Creeps it to center. Long run for Birds. He can't get there. K-State has added 5 here this 6th inning. K-State will run the option. Here's Skylar Thompson. He walks it in. Walks it in. Antonio Gordon. Here's the shot. He's got it. And it's Kansas State, courtesy of Bryn Carlson. Side of the box, crossing, wide open. The shot. Thompson right away. That ball is gone. She gets the ball back, goes up strong, scores, and one. He'll take it down on Jacobson. Off to McGurl, layup, yes. Fielded to 48. Here's Brooks to the 25-20. He's going to score. Wildcat touchdown. He crushes it.
Kansas State's athletic program does not like to postpone until tomorrow what can be accomplished today.
It's going to be tied into Bramlage with some upgrades to Bramlage in terms of the Legends Room. Is now going to be 7 times bigger than it currently is, with new entrances on the east and west side. So that facility, the South End Zone project, is going to touch both Bramlage in a very positive way, and obviously finish off the stadium open field.
As of 2020, approximately 10.5% of Americans struggled with food insecurity. 13.5% of Riley County residents have reported being food insecure during that time. Channel 8 reporter Kate Kennedy has more on how members of the community are working to alleviate this.
Hands On K-State hosted their second mobile food distribution event for the semester. Volunteers set up pallets of food to give to those in need.
During COVID, we're helping on average 300 households once a month. I think that our goal is to see that number go really down, but for the time being, I'm really glad that we can be that connection for them.
While this is the last mobile food distribution event for the semester, there are plenty of other opportunities for people to receive the care and support that they need.
Members of the K-State community can head to Cat's Cupboard, an on-campus food pantry that provides food and supplies at no cost to you.
Cat's Cupboard, obviously, his main purpose is feeding people, and we do try and support everybody as best we can with services outside of just food.
And if you aren't a current Wildcat, you can still receive support from other groups across the area. The Flint Hills Bread Basket provides food pantry services at their central location, as well as multiple churches around town.
And guests can come in once a week to select food from here, and then also when they come in and visit with us, then they are able to get a voucher to go to one of our local church pantry partners.
The Common Table also partners with churches to provide free meals every day of the week.
We have quite a large portion of the population here do deal with this issue of food insecurity. And so without this kind of a program, these folks wouldn't have access to meals. And then where do they go? What do they do?
In Manhattan, I'm Kate Kennedy for Channel 8 News.
For more information on where to find these resources and more, check out the link below. We will now go to Channel 8 reporter Landon Reinhart as he learns more about Aggieville's newest addition. Landon?
Thanks, Lena. I'm here with Assistant City Manager Jared Wassinger. Thank you for coming into the studio today.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So we're going to be discussing the new parking garage down in Aggieville. It's set up to open tomorrow, correct?
Yep, tomorrow we're having a ribbon cutting at 10 a.m. And then the general public is free to park in there starting at 11 a.m. So right in time for the weekend for the lunch crowd and the evening crowd.
Awesome. So why did Aggieville need this parking garage?
We've done a lot of studies since 2016 for Aggieville. We did a community visioning process, and part of that we realized there was a parking deficit in the district. Just for the existing structures and restaurants and retail that was there now, if you wanted to even add growth into the district, there was more parking deficit. So we knew that we needed to add capacity. A garage had been discussed for many years, and we had continued conversations with the community and then ultimately passed what's a tax increment financing district to help fund the garage.
Awesome. So there were talks in the past about maybe shutting off the streets of Aggieville, maybe for a safer place. Is this parking garage maybe something that's going to open those conversations back up?
It certainly can. We have future phases for streetscape improvements. Morrow Street is probably the one that people think about most of how can you maybe eliminate some of that on-street parking, widen the sidewalks so you can have more amenities, and then possibly even close down the street temporarily or fully. So that's going to be a couple years out, but adding over 300 additional stalls into the district adds that capacity, which allows for that discussion that we'll continue to have with the community.
Definitely helps. So it's free to park in there right now. At what point do you think it's going to cost, and how much will that cost?
So we anticipate allowing free parking in the garage at least through January 1, 2023. We are creating a parking management program that we're going to have discussions with our city commission over this summer to talk about paid parking in the garage. We do anticipate an hourly fee. We're trying to figure out how we can possibly allow maybe that first hour free. So we'll have those discussions as well as long-term parking. Really, we're going to try and create a structure that if you're going to be wanting to get into Aggieville in and out, that's where that on-street parking is available. If you're going to be a long-term parker, we want you parking in the garage. So figuring out those structures. We have a lot of different uses in Aggieville. We have your 8 to 5 businesses. We have your evening crowds with lunch and dinner, bars. So we need to figure out a way that we can manage parking in a consistent way. But the cost will be to come.
Awesome. Well, that's all the time we have. I appreciate you coming in. Lena, back to you.
Thanks, Landon. Coming up, we will bring you an update on what the forecast will look like for this weekend, and how the City of Manhattan engineers are embarking on a 2-year project at the Linear Trail to help prevent future flooding.
The state athletic program does not like to postpone until tomorrow what can be accomplished today.
It's going to be tied into Bramlage with some upgrades to Bramlage in terms of the Legends Room. Is now going to be 7 times bigger than it currently is, with new entrances on the east and west side. So that facility, the South End Zone project, is going to touch both Bramlage in a very positive way, and obviously finish off the stadium look and feel.
So within industrial engineering, you can actually start your master's degree a year early and start taking those classes your senior year. And then after you go through those upper level courses, you only really have a year left and you would come out with your bachelor's and master's degree, which is something I have been considering just because, it's one extra year and I do love K-State. So it's like, win-win. But that's a perk with being an industrial engineer. You're able to get your master's degree in just one extra year.
Jacobson, off to McGurl, layup, yes! Fielded to 48, here's Brooks to the 25-20, he's going to score! Wildcat touchdown! He crushes it!
You may have noticed portions of the linear trail closing over the past few months. Channel 8 reporter Claiborne Schmidt hit the trails to learn why.
Bill Heatherman, a stormwater compliance engineer for the City of Manhattan, has been working on the levee project to help improve the safety of the city.
Our levee system was built in the 1960s. The design standards have improved a lot, and in the flood of 1993, there were some realizations that that was a closer call than any of us were comfortable with. So after many decades of planning, we're now at the point of being able to construct really once-in-a-generation level improvement.
Once the levee is complete, it will provide a 1 in 300 year flood protection, addressing weaknesses levees might have in a flood, particularly for groundwater that could undermine foundations. Although the construction is inconvenient, community members are working around it.
Well, it's cutting my walk short, my run short. It kind of sucks, but gotta deal with it.
Although there have been lots of recent closures of the linear trail, that hasn't stopped community members from coming out and enjoying it.
We understand it's a big loss, but hang with us and we'll get the trail back again along with a much stronger and secure levee. Fortunately, the city has so many other wonderful trail opportunities, and we have some information on our website.
The linear trail is currently closed from the boat ramp at US 24 West until South Manhattan Ave. Later this spring, there will be a closure from US 24 boat ramp to the intersection of Hayes and Casemount. From the linear trail, this is Claiborne Schmidt, Channel 8 News.
The linear trail will be fully reopened in the spring of 2024 after the levee construction is complete. Claiborne now joins us in the studio to let us know if we are in for warmer weather. Claiborne?
Thanks, Lena. Yeah, we've had a crazy week of weather this week, but we're going to go ahead and look at our national temperatures. Over in the east, we're in the 70s and 80s with a heat front moving down. And in the east, we're also getting, in the west, we're having our 50s, 60s. And then in the mid-United States, we're in the 80s up down south and in the 30s up north. Hopefully things are starting to warm up as the weather goes on this week. Now let's go ahead and look at our Kansas map. We're in the high 40s over here by Kansas City, and we're moving over, as we move further west, we get warmer and warmer up into the mid 60s. It'll be nice and warm this weekend, so it'll be great for our Easter weekend. Let's go ahead and look at today's forecast. This morning, you might have noticed it was a little chilly in the low 30s this morning. Today's high is at 6 p.m. and it'll be in our 60s. And then at sunset tonight, it'll be about mid-50s, which will be nice and warm. So go ahead and enjoy the warm day today as it warms up throughout the day. Now let's go ahead and look at our 5-day forecast. Today we'll have high of 63, low of 30s. We'll pretty much stay in the 60s for the rest of the week and low 40s, 30s this week. Easter will be nice and warm on Sunday. We'll have 61. Might be a little cloudy, but we'll still have a good day for Easter egg hunting. Now back to Lena.
Thanks, Claiborne. Sports is coming up after the break. We will look into how some former K-State athletes are trying to help current athletes in this new age of college athletics. Plus, we'll talk to one current baseball player who is looking to help take this year's team to new postseason heights. We'll be right back.
So within industrial engineering, you can actually start your master's degree a year early and start taking those classes your senior year. And then after you go through those upper level courses, you only really have a year left and you would come out with your bachelor's and master's degree, which is something I have been considering just because, it's one extra year and I do love K-State. So it's like, win-win. But that's a perk with being an industrial engineer. You're able to get your master's degree in just one extra year.
K-State will run the option. Here's Skylar Thompson. He walks it in! Antonio Gordon. Here's the shot. And it's Kansas State, courtesy of Brent Carlson. Side of the box, crossing, wide open, the shot. Thompson right away. That ball is gone. She gets the ball back, goes up strong, scores! And one!
K-State, I think, has made me comfortable taking a leadership position. As a computer scientist, the leadership experience and how well you communicate with others is often overlooked by most people. I'm a section leader in the K-State marching bands, so it definitely made pursuing, those leadership opportunities more easily. If you demonstrate proficiency in those skills, then that really sets you apart, and I think that really has to go into why I ultimately got the internship.
Take it down on Jacobson. Off to McGurl. Layup. Yes! Fielded to 48. Here's Brooks to the 25-20. He's going to score! Wildcat touchdown! He crosses it.
We will now go to sports anchor Eden Brockman to hear about how one baseball player has emerged after transferring from another Big 12 school. Eden?
Thanks, Lena. The K-State baseball team is still smack dab in the middle of their season. They're a young team filled with transfers and freshmen, but with several players taking on leadership roles. They have their eyes set on Omaha.
Dominic Johnson, a sophomore transfer from Oklahoma State, says the team has a lot of new faces this year, but has been able to mesh well together.
We have a whole bunch of transfer guys as well as new freshmen, and we get along very well. So we mesh really well. Coming from the fall, it's a lot different just because no one knew anyone, but now we're one team.
Johnson says he helps support the team by setting the tone early, since he has been hitting the leadoff all year.
But I like to lead by example. So like I said, setting the tone early, being able to play off my energy, and everyone feeding off of that. I feel like we've done a great job with that.
The leaders on this team are working hard on and off the field to be leaders and mentors for their younger teammates, and it's resonating well with the younger players.
They just cheer me on whenever I'm down. They kind of encourage me a little bit, give me a little bit of confidence. They also, they worked hard just as much as I do, so I kind of look up to them about that.
Sophomore shortstop Nick Goodwin says that Culpepper is stepping up to the plate as a freshman.
I think we've done a pretty good job for the most part with leading those guys in the right direction. And we got young guys like Casey, who's playing really well, and he's been our best defensive infielder so far. And for him to step up in that position as a freshman is big.
Johnson, along with the rest of the team, now have their eyes set on Omaha.
We want to finish the season strong, above 500, preferably 30-plus wins. But like I said, we want to get to Omaha, get into a regional, see what we can do if they're in the postseason.
The Wildcats are looking to take down the Longhorns this weekend in a 3-game series starting tonight in Manhattan. Less than a year ago, the NCAA allowed athletes to start profiting off their name, image, and likeness, known as NIL. Now, Aaron Lockett, former K-State football player, NFL athlete, and current sports agent, along with several others, are launching the Wildcats Den Collective to help connect fans and businesses with student athletes to create deals.
So instead of the student athlete actually starting the conversation, it really generates from the company and or from an investor or an alumni or a donor, whatever you want to call them, to the sense of they can identify what sport and or athlete they want to put funds into. And so those funds will sit into a bucket until that student athlete performs a service or promotes a product, right? And so that's where the Wildcat Den comes in, A, as a holding cell, but B, on the back end of actually putting together events to where they can see value for getting these funds.
I think it's a good thing. It's certainly, there's a lot of different levels of it, but here at K-State we've got great athletes all across the board, and we've had a lot that have had success doing this.
While the University of Kansas may have celebrated a national championship in men's basketball, new K-State coach Jerome Tane is on the recruiting trail, trying to replace players who left via the transfer portal. On the day Tane was announced as head coach, he said he wasn't worried about Kansas. He has bigger goals.
I didn't get hired to beat Kansas. I got hired to win a Big 12 championship. I'm going to get up for 1 game a year or 2 games a year. We're going to get up for every game.
And that's all the time we have for sports today. Back to you at the desk, Lena.
Thanks, Eden. We're going to take another quick break, but when we come back, we will take a final look at our weather forecast and how the Sunset Zoo recently unveiled a new exhibit showcasing several endangered animals.
I always knew I enjoyed working with kids, and that was something I was passionate about, and I originally planned to become a teacher. I realized I was more passionate about the kids and their upbringing and their development, and I found that K-State actually offered a program that worked perfectly with my interests, and so I decided that school counseling was kind of the right path for me, just so that I could focus more on that psychology aspect and work with the kids on a more intimate level.
So within industrial engineering, you can actually start your master's degree a year early and start taking those classes your senior year. And then after you go through those upper level courses, you only really have a year left and you would come out with your bachelor's and master's degree, which is something I have been considering just because, it's one extra year and I do love K-State, so it's like, win-win. But that's a perk with being an industrial engineer. You're able to get your master's degree in just one extra year.
I went on my campus tour. They had the Baja racing teams, all the carts and everything on display, and I was like, that's super cool. My first year, we made robots, made a line following robot, assembled it and coded it. And my current major is biomedical engineering. It's like a jack of all trades since you take coding from computer science and then some stuff from electrical. It's kind of just a mix of all the main departments of college engineering. This is the spot for me.
Kansas State's athletic program does not like to postpone until tomorrow what can be accomplished today.
It's going to be tied into Bramlage with some upgrades to Bramlage in terms of the Legends Room. Is now going to be 7 times bigger than it currently is, with new entrances on the east and west side. So that facility, the South End Zone project, is going to touch both Bramlage in a very positive way, and obviously finish off the stadium open field.
Sunset Zoo opened its newest exhibit over the weekend. Expedition Asia highlights some of the most endangered species in the world with sloth bears, tigers, and leopards. Oh my! The new exhibit is the first part of an overall master plan for Sunset Zoo to provide new and educational experiences for visitors. As part of that education, the zoo invited National Geographic photographer Joel Sartori to help with the opening of the new exhibit.
What's nice about this is it's got fewer animals, but they're in bigger spaces, so the animals can thrive and move about more easily. It's better for animal welfare, and it's an AZA zoo, and this is up to date, modern standard right here. So it's beautiful.
Well, this weekend, it'll be nice and warm. Today we'll get up to the 60s. Throughout the day, it just keeps getting warmer and warmer.
That's awesome. I think that would be the perfect time to go to the Sunset Zoo and check out all these cool new animals.
Yes, and what is your favorite animal, Lena?
Well, I did visit the zoo this week, and my favorite animal were the sloth bears. The sloth bears were actually so cool. I didn't even know what a sloth bear was before I went to the Sunset Zoo this weekend. But what's your favorite animal at the zoo?
My favorite is gotta be an elephant, but I did not know about the sloth bears either until watching.
Maybe one day the Sunset Zoo will get some elephants. That would be really cool.
That would be really awesome. We hope that everyone enjoys the nice warm weather this weekend and Easter.
Yes, I hope everyone has a good Easter and a great weekend. And that's all we have for you today, so join us right back here next week as we will talk to several event planners for this year's LGBTQ Pride Festival.
This is Channel 8 News.